Hi, everybody. I'm here with Paul Moir, and we're going to be talking about recruiter enablement. So, Paul, yes, give us a quick introduction. Who are you? What do you do? Tell us a bit about your background.
Hi, Adam. Thanks for the invitation to speak to you on this one. My name is Paul Moir. I work for Insights Learning and Development as the resourcing manager. Been working in recruitment for best part of 20 years nearly now as well. Recruitment enablement for me is a really interesting subject. So I've been following you and following a lot of the stories and the interviews that have been coming out on this for a period of time. And there's been so much good content talking about this, and a lot that I agree with as well. And it is that support of being able to, as quickly and as best you possibly can, get someone to a really good standard. And I appreciate when we say standard, that might be a little ethereal for some people, because what is a good recruiter? What is the standard? And we still need to do some work around that as well, because I think it's a bit different for different people, different companies, different setups, different sizes as well. But yeah, I wanted to grab a word with you because there was a piece that I saw people touching on a little bit, but was quite close to my heart, if you like, because it's very much to do with the company that I work for as well, from an enablement perspective. So you happy enough? I can just talk a little bit more about what that means for me and
Go for it.
and take it
Absolutely.
from there. Yeah. So Insights is a learning and development company. The type of learning and development that we do is around personality profiling. So behaviours and how people come across to the world. People will have had some of this within their careers already. Some may not have. But in essence, you complete an evaluator, which is a series of questions that starts to build a picture of how you come across to the world.
Yeah.
Now, that evaluator is based on psychology. So if you were at college, university studying psychology, you'd learn all about what Carl Jung brought to the world. And it's that Jungian psychology that we use. Jung brought many, many things, but the particular piece that we're interested in is around preference and what people's preferences are.
Yeah.
Once you get to understand your own preferences, but not only do you understand yours, you start to understand other people's, then suddenly you start to communicate possibly more effectively in that as well. Making sense so far?
Yeah, it is absolutely. I am familiar with some of the concepts in here, and I think if you can establish how best to interact with somebody, you're going to get the best out of every conversation.
Yeah, and this is where it comes into recruiter enablement for me, because I actually first did an Insights course long before I joined the organization, and it was one of the better courses I've done. I will say absolutely there are other products out there that do very similar things. This is just the one I'm most familiar with, of course. But for me, I was not a very self-aware person. I wasn't. I was almost a typical. I came from an agency background. I was direct. I was fast, speed, all that sort of. I didn't always appreciate that that was not other people's preferences as well, and how to get the
Yeah.
best out of them.
Yeah.
So what understanding preference does to enable a recruiter is it makes you just think about how you come across, and it's not just in your face-to-face, it's in your emails. It's in any form of communication that you're seeking to do. And the best way that I can describe this for people is to actually talk more about how myself and how I come over, because I understand that now better than I ever have done. But how some of my experiences have shown that up as well in some aspect. So I'm gonna try and share with you a little
Yes.
bit of a
Okay. Go ahead.
grid
Yep.
here,
Yep.
just to see if we can bring this to life a little bit clearer for people.
First time anybody's used a prop on this channel, but it's all good.
If it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, there we go. Can you see that okay, Adam?
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. So when we talk about preference, and particularly with Insights products, we put into 4 categories, and we actually use color within those categories to make it more memorable and bring it to life a bit. So top right-hand quadrant is what we call the fiery red. Your preference is to be competitive, you're quite demanding, determined, strong-willed, purposeful. We want sunshine yellow, where sociable, dynamic, demonstrative, enthusiastic, persuasive. Earth green, caring, encouraging, sharing, patient, relaxed. And cool blue, cautious, precise, deliberate, questioning, and formal. Now, you and me, Adam, we're a mix of everything there. Absolutely everything. You know, you're not
Yeah.
defined by any of these. You're not a color or anything like that, but you have
Yeah.
preference in there. And you'll look at that and you'll go, actually, I'm leaning towards maybe a certain section. That's probably to do with your preference. And then one of the ways that we start to formalize that and make it creative for people is to use these color blocks and that kind of show what people's preferences are. So my particular preferences, I lead with red, followed by blue, then yellow, then green. If I hold that up to the camera, that's how that shows up for me.
Right.
So what does that mean for me? So red, competitive, demanding, determined, strong-willed, purposeful. Blue, I have an element of caution, precise, deliberate, questioning, formal to it as well. And then you can kind of go through and you can see how that builds. So let's say
I'm pretty much red, but I'd prefer to be green.
Well, this is the thing. So my colleague that I work very, very closely with, she's pretty much that. Turn it upside down.
Right.
She goes, so what does that tell me? How does that mean? So I bundle into the room and I'm going, right, why are we here? What are we doing? Let's get on with it. And she's going, how bloody rude. Hasn't even asked me how my day is going. We haven't had a cup of tea yet or anything like that. And he's straight in here and he's out of it. So we realize that, we understand it. And we start to maybe work in different ways, understanding each other's preferences. And that's fundamentally what I want to put over from a recruiter enablement perspective, because suddenly your emails that you're writing, you know, if you're dealing with someone that you know leads like I do with that fiery red, keep it bullet points, keep it short, get to the point nice and easy. Don't do the whole fluffy, how are you? How's the pets? How's the family? Because they're not going to be wanting that. However, if it's maybe someone who leads with the earth green, then do you know what? Don't rush them. Give them some time, have some people, values connection, and then move into business. Because, like I say, everybody is capable of doing everything with this. You just have a preference.
Right. Hang on a second. We had a really, really weird scenario there, which Paul or I'll tell you about at some point. But anyway, right. Let's talk about these colors. I think that if you are a talent acquisition team, you want to understand each other's colors because that's how you're going to be able to create the best rapport and all that type of thing. I think you're also going to want to understand the hiring managers that you work with.
Yeah.
I think it seems like maybe a bit overkill to do it with every candidate at like first stage because you don't have time to analyze that before every interview. Unless you're insights, in which case you might actually put everybody through that. How does that work?
That's a really interesting point because, of course, you could have any preference at all and still be the best person for the job. You know, it may be that your finance manager actually leads with sunshine yellow and is a brilliant finance manager, whereas you would maybe expect someone to be into the detail and the cool blue and all that sort of stuff. So we don't use this when recruiting, because you could be, as I say, any particular preference and still be the best person for the job. It's about the competencies of the individual. But where it comes into its own is the onboarding. And that's where primarily, you're going to be working with new people, new teams. What's their preferences? How are they going to work? 100% right. Managers understanding what they are. And I think there's an aspect for the recruitment agency world as well, when we know that is more of a sales position and a relationship building position, but understanding what your client's preferences are. Again, doesn't need to be short and sweet. You need to be a little bit more knowing what football team they support or when their kids' birthdays are. These little bits of information, once you understand people's preferences, can become quite vital in forming relationships.
Yeah, got it. Okay, Paul, it's been really great to learn a lot more about this. And I think you're right. I think it's a very interesting aspect of recruiter enablement. So thank you for taking the time to join me today to talk it through. And where can people find you?
They can find me online, LinkedIn, Paul Moir. Shouldn't be too hard to find on that. And I will say, Insights as an organization, we are giving a bit more access to our APIs as well for our products. So if there is anybody from a tech world out there, such as yourself, Adam, looking at how some of this stuff can come into product stack. Look out for a little bit more from us. Have a wee follow with me. I'll be sharing stuff about that as well.
Very exciting. Great. Okay. Thanks, Paul. All the best.
Cheers, Adam. Take care. Enjoy the holidays.